Hello and welcome to another podcast with Explore. I am Aditya Madan, part of the General Management cohort here at Accenture, and we are gathered here today at Fulcrum 2026, the flagship consulting conclave of Accenture. Our theme this year is the changing role of AI in consulting, how AI is going to impact consulting in the short term and long term, and what are its value additions going to be. And amidst this, one of the most interesting industries today is energy. So we have come to one of the core people inside this industry. Our guest brings more than 20 years of experience driving digital transformation across the energy industry, spanning the global stage, across sectors like renewables, transmission, distribution, and the whole messy business of energy transition. She is a managing director in Accenture Strategy and Consulting Practice, and beyond the title, she is also known as a champion of women in leadership. It's a real privilege to have Ms. Renu Chandel here with us. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Aditya. Pleasure to be here.
So, ma'am, you have been at Accelerate for a day or so.
Yeah.
How has been your experience back in a B school?
So far, good. I mean, I'm taken aback, obviously, by the strength that you have in the classroom. Back then, when I was doing my management, we had a small group of 60, 70 per class. So that's changed for sure. And I think you have a very lush green campus. So it's good to be around in such a weather.
I think the credits for that goes to the Jamshedpur climate.
Yes.
So, ma'am, I would like to talk about your journey over the years. And you have obviously spent 2 decades in energy, and you started off as an engineer. So the general question would be, how did you end up in consulting? But what I would want to know is, what are some of the opportunities that you said no to? So that you made your path to being at Accenture and leading such change.
Wow. You are taking me back 25 years. And I was at a point of, so I'm, like I said, I'm an electrical engineer, and while I did not opt for an industry experience, but straight away went to do my MBA. And after my MBA, I had 2 job offers. One was with a product organization and another was with a power utility. And that's where the inflection point came in, because my engineering was electrical engineering and my MBA was marketing and systems. So I could have chosen both some way or the other. But I ended up choosing the power utility as a starting point in my career. I think it was because engineering gave me a technical outlook, which kind of also, I saw that when you merge it with the IT systems that I learned and the marketing that I learned during my post-grad will help me get the best out of it. So I thought, okay, let's try this out as a management trainee, because that's how most of us start our career with initial years. And so I started there. I kind of liked the work that I did. I was part of the operations team within the power utility firm, saw how the infrastructure was managed. I was pushed onto the ground level, working with the technicians on the ground, fixing the outage, fixing all the meter readings that went out during heavy rains or heavy winds. So that was like mundane. I'm like, what am I doing here? And stuff like that. But it was fun. During that course of time, one project, I came across consultants on the other side of the table, and they were doing our business process transformation. And I was the end user of the process. And that was my first interaction with how consultants work on the process side of it. And that kind of intrigued me. And hence I thought, okay, let me try out what's there on the other side. I think the problem that lies on the people process side was what got me to consulting. And I started loving it, because then you try to see different perspectives from different organizations. No 2 organizations are the same. So no 2 processes are the same. And that's how I have stuck to it so far.
That is quite interesting, ma'am, because back in, let's say, early 2000s, it's very, hard to hear people, especially women who are starting
Indeed.
out their careers, to sort of choose such a hard, career to go into. And then I think today, if I would get that opportunity to work in as a power systems engineer or to work as a on the product side, so I think most of people like me today would have chosen the product side, right?
Yes.
It's sort of a more flashy job. You sort of
Yeah.
deal with clients all day, stuff like that. But it really goes back to sort of talk about what thought process was at that point of time, that you have to come back into the core industry, you have to work to give back to the core industry, and that's sort of how you build, the long-term career.
Long-term career, yeah. And you touched the very right point. You actually do not find a lot of women in the utilities and power sector
Exactly,
per se,
yes.
and the energy sectors. There has been times when I am the sole woman on the board talking industry. But it also gives me the thrill knowing
Yeah.
the subject. And yeah, so.
Well, when you have that kind of an experience behind you and you step into a stage or you step into a board meeting, obviously it would be some sort of a thrill in itself.
Certainly.
So, ma'am, I had another question at mind. So, I was going through, the kind of places you have worked, and it's quite a mix. There's Reliance Energy, there's Capgemini, and obviously Accenture. And along the way, you must have solved a lot of client problems. You must have dealt with, business problems in general. In the energy industry, how have the business problems changed? Let's say, 15 years back and now. Like, what are they most worried about? What were they most worried about then, and what are they most worried about today?
No, okay. The industry per se, the most prominent thing is the quality of supply and the safety of people. That's what utility strives for, right? It's people. You're dealing with substations, transformers, and heavy equipment. So quality and safety is paramount. But then the power, water, and gas are basic utilities, and it has to be supplied to the end customer in the way they want it, right? So these are the two pertinent problems. These two issues are still the same. So how you deal with it has changed over a period of time. So now the problem is how resilient you are to embrace the changes that are coming in with the ecosystem that has come in. Like, for example, 20 years back, there was not much of solar, there was not much of wind. People were not producing their own energy, but now it is the case. So how is it impacting the grid? So those are new problems that have started coming in, which utilities are dealing with.
Yeah, so I think in that sense, I was reading about how the most important thing right now to manage is how energy is fluctuating when,
Yes.
solar comes online in the
Correct.
afternoon and then it goes away in the evening.
Yeah.
And that's how the battery systems and everything comes in. So I think the problem statements has changed in that sense.
Over a period of time.
But then people have stayed central.
People have stayed central, but there's also different policies that have now come in place. Consumers like you and I are more educated in terms of what we are getting, why we are getting, how much are we paying, why are my units fluctuating, and so on and so forth. So we are also putting a pressure on the customer service and the retail side of the business, which was not the case earlier. Right.
Interesting. We talked about a bit of, what sort of problems were there, but if I want to talk about, considering that you worked across multiple geographies, the UK, Netherlands, Australia, how were the problems different in those geographies over the last 10 years, and how has it been different in India? So some sort of a comparative, yeah.
Yeah. The problems in the worlds which are different from ours is because the industry is very asset intensive industry, right? If you talk about Americas and Europe, the infrastructure is years old, more than let's say 60, 70 years old. So they have aging infrastructure coming in, meaning that their transmission lines are old, their power generation plants are old. They also have aging population because now you wouldn't find engineers working on operations. The people are taking IT jobs and other jobs and not coming back into the full-time course who can run their power plants, who can run their utilities. So their problem is different that way. Way back, problems in India although our infrastructures are old, but we are still building power plants. We are still building new age infrastructure when it comes to power lines and substations. We do have a problem of, let's say, workforce, but I think we have good institutes now. So many, plenty institutes who are churning out engineers every year, so that obviously it's an engine that fuel the industry for sure. The another impact is, I think, regulations that has been coming around. When you look at Europe per se, any projects that they do, the governance and regulatory policies, adherence to them play a very important and key role. I don't say that it doesn't play a role in other markets, but it plays a utmost important role in European markets. When I look at Middle East, they have great ambitions, and they have all arm and ammunitions to actually fuel that ambitions as well. When it comes to India, I think the best part that we have is scale. We can do it like faster, cheaper, quicker. In fact, one of my colleagues from Europe, we were doing an internal study of why in India it's easier to set up a substation, let's say in 4 to 5 months of time, while it take months and months and sometimes years to set it up in Europe. It's because of the systems and policies.
Okay. I'm surprised actually.
Yeah. And also availability of workforce. You wouldn't find people out there to even set up a substation so quickly, and the paperwork that would be required. I'm not saying India doesn't have paperwork. We have, but then the machinery is such that it runs faster to get approvals, because we want to get electricity to the far end, and hence the system is faster here. So even Europe is learning from us.
I think in the last decade or so, I think as you said, right, Middle East has that ambition. I think that ambition has come to India as well, right? We see the systems that are already in Europe or Americas, and we want to get to those systems quickly. And I could see that while I was working as well. So, and to do those, to get to those systems, I think a lot of regulations are being solved also over the last five years or so. Ma'am, you mentioned about skill building, in terms of a lot of scale of engineers, of people who are skilled. I think that is also pertinent to how the government in general, in the last 30 years, 35 years or so, has sort of focused on skill building on a very basic level, rather than just to focus on the doctor or the engineer theory. Yeah. I think that transition has also come in the last 20 years. So considering that we are already comparing India to foreign markets, so I am part of the general management cohort here, right? So the 1-year MBA of XLRI. And it's a bit different from the 2-year MBA that XLRI offers, the business management or the human resource management program. But then the course has been structured in a manner that you sort of, it gives you all the value addition that it can give you in the 2 years as compared to the 2-year program as well. Do you have any thoughts on, what sort of value addition 1-year program could give to people who are in their careers? For example, like me, I came out after 3.5 years of working here.
Yeah, it's like a crash course. You're trying to do a sprint and a marathon combined. Look, academia and industry go hand in hand, right? There's so much that we can do together per se. I wouldn't suggest that you have typically it's like 8 weeks of internships that generally we do in a 2-year program. Obviously, you do not have that leeway to do so. I think what could be a better way out is to have those interlock with industries to get real industry problems as part of probably one semester, and then solve it. for them, right? That could be a way out.
Yeah, I think
It's like a pseudo internship.
Yeah, I get your point. So I think a lot of courses that they've built here are sort of targeting that. So for example, in an accounting course, we do partner up with the CFO team at a publicly listed company,
Okay.
and we do accounting projects or cost management projects over the period of 2 months over the term itself. And in those 2 months, we are answerable to that the CFO team, and we're sort of working on how can they account for their business better. So for me, who is not coming from a finance background, I'm dealing with a CFO directly, who obviously knows what is going inside his company and how is he accounting for his business. But then that sort of industry experience, I think the curriculum here has sort of pulled it into the subjects itself to sort of give us that exposure. And now let's just come back to energy. And so one of the biggest questions of energy today is energy transition, right? And considering that you're from a utility space, you must be dealing with both sides of the non-fossil and the fossil space as well. Do you think the way that energy transition is being marketed, I would say, do you think that will be the pace it goes to? Like, do you think oil and gas or fossil in general will not last out another 10, 15 years, 20 years? Do you think it will go down? What are the investments looking like? Where do you think the transition is happening, and how quickly?
Yeah, I think it's not the correct question to even think about, Aditya, because your coal, oil, and fossil is going nowhere. It will stay. Okay, so energy transition for sure is real. It is not about one replacing the other. The question is the right mix. Right mix. How do you manage the right mix? And one of the challenges that the power sector and utilities have is how to manage that right mix, because you will have to balance renewables and thermal and fossils in a way that you're able to cater to the requirement fluctuations as and when it goes. Yeah, and that is how things are shaping up on the storage side. When we were in our school, we used to learn electricity cannot be stored.
Yes.
But times have changed.
It's free flowing.
It's free flowing, but times have changed.
Yeah, that's true. I was building that question on from the concept that a lot of European countries are sort of there was a talk of windfall tax earlier, right? And then they're very proactive on shutting down some already running systems, already running oil and gas projects.
No. But now you hear, if you see the recent trend, Europe is building its nuclear plants. There are about 5 or 6 nuclear plants already that are being constructed now. So imagine the time from whatever disasters that happened many years back. They are now going back to nuclear. So things are changing. Couple of years back, for one day, UK supplied all its energy from renewables.
I think
for one single day. Yeah. So it's happening. It's happening. And you were talking about targets. I'm very optimistic that India will meet its target.
Yeah, I think in terms of regulation side, I think we were learning about that recent regulatory news that came out about the nuclear program, right? How have they really transformed it? They have brought in the private entities to sort of build and maintain it for us.
Correct.
And then on the regulation side for non-fossil, as in solar, wind as well, they're growing at in terms of installed capacity at least.
Yes.
They're growing at an impressive pace. So this builds on to my next question. So India has already crossed 50% of its installed capacity into the non-fossil space, well ahead of the 2030 commitment. And what are your thoughts on the bottlenecks of it? Considering that you work in the utility space, is the bottleneck going to be generation? Because I understand that all installed capacity does not actually transition to producing power, right?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be transmission, or the bottlenecks will come on the discom side, the distribution side? Where do you think the real bottleneck lies in terms of it?
Yeah. Whosoever will see the podcast will say, okay, I'm favoring one over the other. The answer is all the three. The problem lies in the integration. Yeah. So at the end of the day, a utility should function in a way that the end consumer should get the electricity. That means it has to be integrated throughout the value chain, which at many places does not happen. And the key scope for improvement there mainly comes out in the distribution side. So obviously, while I say integration is something that is important for all three, distribution will play a very important role, because that's also where a lot of energy transition play happens from the renewable side.
Okay. And anything that you're seeing in current trends on the distribution side? Because I was so when I was researching for this podcast, I was going through a couple of reports here and there,
Yeah.
And a lot of state discoms in general are not very cash rich. They're having problems.
Yeah.
They're subsidized heavily by the government. Where do you think the next regulation is going to come from? There were talks about an electricity bill coming into the picture another couple of months, I would say, which talked about, maybe putting a bit more burden onto the end consumer. Where do you think, from inside the industry, where do you think it's going to go towards?
Yeah. If I have to only talk about India, discoms are mainly government utilities,
Entities, yeah.
right? Entities. There are talks to privatize them. Okay, not all of them, but then there are talks to privatize quite a few of them, and that will kind of bring about quicker decision making, because
Yeah.
that's where we kind of lag somewhere. Although discoms are getting modernized, I think with the privatization there would be influx of capital that will influence, start managing and upgrading their systems, which are actually required for a holistic roadmap towards digitization and transformation. So that's where I see changes happening, and obviously policies around how things work out on the modernization plan. And I think Niti Aayog and all the stuff that's happening within India is going to be key.
I think along with that, I see a lot of services firms opening for energy as well in India,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I see a lot of hiring going on
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
Indian energy space. A lot of consulting firms hiring as well. A lot of new budding data intelligence platforms and so on coming up as well. So I think the energy system in India is just going to go up.
It is, and they're also finding out new revenue schemes, right? So discoms are not just selling power; they are getting into multiple businesses. So you have EV charging stations now coming in, right? Then you would have big data centers being fueled by energy, because then you have likes of, let's say, Google setting up its data centers in Hyderabad, Microsoft setting up its data center in Hyderabad, and so on, or Visakhapatnam, and some that cities where the plan is. So how do you power them up? It's them. So these are the newer venues where they will generate cash.
Yeah, very exciting time for the Indian energy market.
Yeah, and exciting time for people who are graduating in electrical and would want to make a career out of it by learning some of the good.
Go back to the core industry.
Yes. Per se.
Now, we have touched a bit about the energy industry, and so now we come back to what Fulcrum, what we've gathered here today is about, generative AI, right? So, can you tell us a bit about, let's say, if I worked into one of your teams, 3 to 4 years back, what were the sort of hierarchy that you had in one of your consulting core teams? How was the work being done at that point of time, and how has it changed in the last 3 years? Because 2022, Sam Altman came in and gave a tweet that ChatGPT is online, and everything has just changed in the last 3 years.
The way we work, Well, things have changed from the way we work. I have changed the way I used to work 9 months back to 6 months back to, let's say, in last 4 months, the way I start my day, the way I end my day, the way I prepare for my meetings, everything has changed because of this. So definitely project working has also changed. Previously, I suppose the whole idea was we used to talk about big implementations that used to take a lot of time. There was no reflection point. There was some amount of data repository and knowledge, But now there's a plethora of information in hand, so you can do a lot, and that's why earlier the implementation and product methodology was more waterfall, and now it is more agile. That means you're co-building it with your clients, so you are showing them prototype and how things can work now rather than later. So it's like fail fast, learn fast methodology now in the way we work than it was prior to that. So it's kind of helping and evolving that way.
Okay. So yeah, so I think in the panel discussion also it was, the guests here were talking about how it is now very imperative to understand what do you say no to in terms of information rather than what do you say yes to, because there's a lot of, as you said, plethora of information out there, and this is coming up to you all across the board.
And how do you make sense of that data?
Exactly,
Not
right.
every data is useful, right?
And I think that's where the subject matter experts come in, as you said, go back to the core industry. So when a month back or so, we met with Miss Lakshmi and Mr. Suresh from Accenture. They were here at the campus. We had a discussion with them as well. The general management cohort had actually a long day engagement with them. So we kind of understand now how AI is used in consulting functions in general. But are you seeing any AI implementation on the energy business side? So for example, the clients, utilities, how are they implementing AI in their systems, considering that they're very process oriented? There's a bit of quite a bit of regulations there as well. So
you touched the right point. It is process oriented, right? And what I said was it's an asset intensive organizations also. The core of any AI implementation is process. That's a starting point, right? So it's good that these are process oriented organizations coupled with the way some of the systems work. The areas that we are now trying to solve and the problems that we are particularly now trying to solve for the sector lies on preventive maintenance side, or for that matter, the way some of the field and asset work overall. That's one part of it. The problem that has been solved has been in place for a while, and there has been RPAs and automation and machine learning already doing it for a while, is on the customer side of it. Okay, so how do you increase your CSAT score? How do you hear your customer or make informed decisions from whatever has happened? How do you give them a wow experience? So that's a problem that's being solved on the other side of the business. But the core problem is all on your asset and work and field
and that is,
management
I think,
side.
still where AI has to sort of break in
and do it. And then there are things around legal and regulation, but then the whole AI in the loop and the AI governance kicks in. So it has to be treaded with some caution on how you manage implementation of AI in that aspect of the business.
So we were discussing with Ms. Lakshmi as well, we talked about AI implementation in the HR function. How do you do, how do you make an AI performance management system? How do you track an employee so closely with the help of AI systems that at the end of 6 months, the manager doesn't have to sort of do a lot of thinking around what the employee has delivered. And she raised this exact question, the human touch has to be there consistently. Because in terms of humans, in terms of regulations, in terms of legal compliance, there is quite a bit of space between what AI can achieve and what you need it to be.
Certainly.
So ma'am, coming back from AI now, coming back to how we as a batch are heading into placements, right? Just a couple of months down the line. And a lot of the batch has its eyes on the consulting function, which is in general the trend with MBAs in India. But considering that AI is here, so how would you suggest us that we do the learning, today? So to sort of step into that role in 2027. And what do we learn, considering that in every 2 months, something or the other changes, and you start to realize that, okay, this can also be automated, or this can also be done by the touch of a button. So what are some of the systems, or what are some of the areas that we could work upon?
To answer at least the big question that you had was impact of AI on consulting and how. Look, we're just changing the way we work. Consulting is not going anywhere. It's a people's business, right? And clients need us more now than ever because that's where they need us to make informed decisions. Okay, they can also have data at their behest, but can they bring the experience and the network that we bring in to make sense out of that data and guide them better? Perhaps not, right? So consulting is here for sure to stay. Then coming to the fact on what you all can do and learn besides what you do in your curriculum, which is like analyzing the data and learning some of the data skills. I think it's very important for you all to see the bigger picture, what they call it, right? A balcony view and a ground level view. Start reading and learning the interchange and interdependency of different sectors, right? For example, if I have to give you, my sector closely relates to what telecom does, right? Because we kind of also interchange technology. So what impact telecom can have on power or power can have on the other. Take up case studies that are there. Take Unilever, take Philips, take Mondelez, take Tata. We are in the city of Tata, right? How they have changed their operating model and business model or reinvented themselves to thrive in the changing times. I think that's where you can start picking up that thinking and approach of how you approach certain disruptive eras to make sense. Yeah, so that's one you can certainly pick up. The second one I would say is on the softer skills. I'm sure storytelling we all as consultants do, but the storytelling also comes from the fact on how you perceive a problem. Are you asking the right questions or not? So start giving those thoughts. So, and I'm not sure if a lot of you now do reading outside your normal curriculum, but if you start reading outside your curriculum, that's where the thinking and approach changes.
Yeah, I think one of the things that when we met Mr. Suresh and Ms. Lakshmi as well, Ms. Lakshmi talked about storytelling as it's as a skill in general, not just an art. And then I think Mr. Suresh talked about the concept of first principle thinking. Go back to brass tacks.
Yes.
Considering that you have AI at your behest, and you can sort of have a contentious conversation with the model to understand what actually goes behind the data. But yes, I do agree that reading has to be picked up.
Reading has to be different, and what will make you differ one from the other is not the what, but the how. What almost everyone would understand with certain nuances here and there, but the how will make you stand apart.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So at the end of the podcast, I only have a rapid fire round left.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Let's
okay,
do
so
that.
we will. So I have about 5-7 questions that I think I'll go through quickly.
Okay.
So shall we start?
Yeah, please.
Yes, okay. So one word every energy client overuses in meetings.
Energy clients. Transformation.
Generative AI in a utility control room by 2030. Is it a reality?
Very much, but with human in the loop and human in the lead.
Okay. Has these processes been implemented as well?
They've started, but like I said, and I was talking in one of the panel discussions also where a question was asked, was AI failing or is it a success? It's actually one of these use cases. It fails if you do it in parts. It is a success if you do the long run, if you do it across the value chain, because that's only when you see the essence of it, and that's when the entire organization uses it. If you do it in pockets, only a section of people will use it, and then the outcome will not have the value that you really want to get it. And control center is one where obviously you have to go towards till the end mile.
The most overrated slide in every transformation tech.
Okay. I have so many, but since you asked only one, it's the current and future.
I get that.
And but the best part is the meat actually lies in between current and future. So
One AI tool that you actually open every single day.
Copilot. I think you live, breathe, eat Copilot.
It's Claude for us, by the
Okay.
way.
Oh yes.
Solar, wind, or storage? Where's the real action in the next 5 years in India?
In India, storage, undoubtedly. And I think storage is one that will drive the rest of the two. Yeah. And that's why data centers are going to be the next big bet.
One habit from your engineering days that you've never let go of.
Which I also use in consulting, right? Ask the 5 whys. We've been taught.
Yeah.
Ask why, and don't settle for an answer till the time you're not convinced.
5 whys and so what?
So what? Okay.
And I think we have already touched upon this topic, one line of advice for this batch heading into consulting, but we have already...
Okay, yeah. Well, I've also been in that space. So what I feel, and over a period of time, what I have learned, and we were just prior to that starting and speaking here, we were talking about it, Aditya. You were mentioning about some of the classroom experiences. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Okay, you have to have a listening ability. You need to process things in your mind and help ask the right questions, because that's where our customers and client need support to get the right answers, right? So that's the thinking model that you will have to evolve over a period of time.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was great conversing with you today.
Same.
And I hope that you really do come back to Jamshedpur once again to meet with the Accelerate cohort. And thank you everyone for listening in. This was another Explore podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.